Greetings to everyone. This is eighth unit. We are going to learn the content available in the eighth unit. Brooke the soldiers. In the unit 8, we are going to learn Brooke and his writing the soldiers. Rupert Brooke was born in late Victorian England, prosperous middle class. About him, we are learning. He was a high achieving university student, charismatic and popular in literary circles and beyond. What does it mean? He was in a really good students. High achieving university students means he was really good in studies. He was really interested in the literatures. By the age of 25, he was published a poet and a fellow of Cambridge University. When the First World War broke out, he was quick to enlist. He died in April 15. His posthumously published war poems cemented his reputation as one of the poets who most effectively gave voice to the ideals and the fears of generation at the time of cultural transition. So we know that the same other war poet, he was also a war poet, and he also interested to write about war, about the war experience in his poem. He became famous because of his war poems. About him, he was born in 1887. His father was a schoolmaster. His mother was a clergyman daughter. Clergyman means you know that a clergyman works in church. So he was a church person's daughter. The world in which these things defined who you were, however, was rapidly changing. So in this, it says that this line says about the world. World always cannot be defined. It always changing. From the age of 14, Brooke attended Rugby, an elite boarding school, where his father was a housemaster. So in his father's school, his father was an housemaster in a school. He studied there. While Brooke excelled as pupil, he was more popular for his effort on the rugby and the cricket field. Rugby is in a game, so he was also really famous in rugby. And in the cricket also, he was really famous because he excelled. He excelled means he really took training and he excelled himself as a very good player in rugby and also in cricket. At Cambridge, he chose to read classics. Believe it or not, the study of Greek and Roman history, cultures, and literature was a prestigious field pursued by many members of elite. So at that time, many studied Greek and Roman history. Greeks and Rome were seen as the most awesome civilization ever, on which Britain's vast empire could and should model itself. So many were interested to learn about the Greece and Roman cultures, their literature, because it was studied by many elite people. Elite people means many high class people. They really interested to learn about the Greece and Roman cultures and literatures. He also got influenced to learn about the Greek and Roman cultures. Brooks' poetry also he is also Brooks' poetry also focus on this on the Greek and Roman cultures and literatures, and his reputation also is sort of latter day Greek hero. Greek hero. So he always used to write about the Greek hero because I said already at that time at the period many were influenced by the Roman and the Greek literature and culture. He also got influence. So he also gave the Greek heroic concept in his poems. Brooks' degree was conventional, his company and habits were far from it. So he got a degree. Romantically interested in both and women, Brooks joined gay discussion clubs and politics and the dramatic society. So gay means you know that yeah, gay means a male and a male can have um, can have a sexual relationship. So many were traditional, but this guy, Brooke, he had a discussion about the gay. We also hung out with the Virginia Woolf and other future members of the Bloomsbury group, men and women who would lead literary and cultural experimentation in England, both before and after World War One. So he was also one of the person in Bloomsbury group. Bloomsbury group means Virginia Woolf and other few members. They formed a group. He also one of the member in the Bloomsbury group. They talk about the gay also He joined the Great Discussion Club. Gay means I said already, a female can lead their life alone, and they will have the sexual relationship, and a male and male will have the sexual relationship. They are called a gay, and he joined in this Gay Discussion Club at that time. He wrote and published poetry, and after the graduation, traveled in Europe. Brooke also found happiness closer to home. From 1909 and 1912, he lived in the village of Grantchester near Cambridge. He wrote a lot of pastoral poetry. Pastoral means it says about the natures and garden like that. He wrote like nature related to nature, a type of poetry based on both classical and English tradition of writing about nature and appreciation of natural beauty. So that is called pastoral poetry. I said already. His first collection of poetry was published in 1911. Now we are going to learn about the soldier. If I should die, think only of this me, that there is some corner of foreign field that is forever England. There shall be in the rich earth a richer dust concealed, a dust whom England bore shape made aware, gave once ear flowers to love or ways to roam, a body of England breathing English, air washed by rivers, blessed by suns and of home, and think this art and all a will shade away. A pulse in the eternal mind no less, gives somewhere back the thoughts by England given. As sights and sound, dreams happy as a day, and laughter learned of friends and gentleness in hearts at peace under a great heaven. So this is the poem. The poem Soldier is one of the English poet Rupert Brooks, and example of danger of romanticizing World War One, comforting the survivor but downplaying the grim reality. Written in 1914, the lines are still used in the military memorials today. So this poem is says about the war, and it says also he is really interested in also nature. So he was in the battlefield, and it was in the England. So he has said that he would be concealed, but he wanted to work. He wanted to fight for England because he was breathing English air. He was enjoying the rivers. He was the sun's. He enjoyed the sun, everything. So whatever it may be, he will fight only against to the support of England. That is mentioned in this poem. In the detail, we can learn about this. I have said only the lines of poems. Now we can learn about the detailed summary about this. The Soldier was the last five poems of Brooks' War Sonnet about the start of World War One. So this poem is, I said already, war poem. It said about the World War One. Brooke reached the end of his series. He returned to what happened when the soldier died while abroad in the middle of conflict. So he got upset because the many soldiers died in the war. It made him really fed up. When the soldier was returned, the bodies of servicemen were not regularly brought back to their homeland, buried nearby where they had died in World War One. This produced vast graveyard of British soldiers in foreign field. Allows to portray this grave as representing a piece of the world that will be forever England. So, what does he want to say? The soldiers who were killed in the battlefield, especially in the other places, they were not, their bodies were not able to bring to their homeland. So soldiers were killed in other places in the war battlefield. They were their body, if they were killed in the battlefield, their body were not able to bring to their homeland. They were buried in nearby place. So our Arthur Brooke also wanted to. There was a loss of graveyard because soldiers were buried nearby places. So many graveyards. Graveyards means burial place. Were there in the of British soldiers were there in foreign field. The foreign field means it's not in the British in the not in England. England. It happened in the other country. So he wanted to say that we have to think about them, and their bodies were buried in the different places where the fight, where the war was happened. Writing at the start of the war, Brooke prefigured the vast number of soldiers whose bodies turned to shred buried by shell fire would remain buried and unknown as a result of the method of fighting that war. So it remains about the soldier's life because their body was not brought to their homeland. It was not buried in their homeland. Their body also were buried in foreign lands. So he wanted to mention in this line, for a nation desperate to turn the senseless loss of its soldiers could be coped with, even celebrated, Brooks' poem became a cornerstone of the remembrance process, is still in heavy use today. So this kind of thought is mentioned in this poem, and Brooks' poem was rememberable one. Many when they read about the Brooks poem, they think that many soldiers were buried in the foreign lands. So far that the soldiers were also remembered by his poem. Religion is central to the second of the soldiers. So first first part he said about the war, but in the second half he says about the religion. The soldiers will awake in a heaven as a redeeming feature for his death in war. So he says about the religious faith. He was killed. A soldier was killed in the war field, but in the heaven they will wake up. It is the second part. The poem also makes great use of patriotic language. It is not any dead soldiers, but an English one, written at the time when to be English was considered as the greatest things to be. So he says that soldiers maybe get up in the heaven. He says that in the second of the poem. The soldiers in the poem is considering his own death, but it is neither horrified nor regretful. So a soldier, he takes his own death because soldiers who fight for their country know that they may be killed in the war. So he takes his own death. But we cannot feel that it is a regret one because it is quite common that a soldier may die in the in the battlefield. Rather, religion, patriotism, and romanticism are central to the instructing him. Some people regard Brooks' poem as among the last great ideas before the true horror of modern mechanized warfare was made clear to the world. But many things that is idea, our author idea that second part he says that the religious way because there is every soldiers gets place in the heaven. It is the religious thought he wanted to mention in the second part, so that it is really the Brooke poem. The soldier is remarkable one, and it is really a highly reputed poem, and it gave a name to also to the brook. This poem gave a good name, a reputed, great name to brook. So finally, what does he want to say there? Where soldiers had been dying on English adventures in foreign countries for centuries and still wrote it. So soldiers were killed in the foreign countries. Foreign countries means refers to not in their homeland. So it should be written always. That is the central point of this poem. Summary, finally, summary. What is summary? An established poet before the outbreak of World War One, Robert Brooke had traveled, written, fallen in the out of love, joined great literary movements, and recovered from a mental collapse before the declaration of war, when he volunteered for the Royal Naval Divisions. He was really mentally collapsed because when he saw that this kind of war experiences, he mentally collapsed, but he recovered soon. After the recovery, he joined Royal Naval Division also. He saw compact action in the right for Antwerp in 1914 as well as a retreat. His compact action in the fight for he was a victim in that in the compact action. As he awaited a new employment, he wrote the short set of 1914 war sonnets, which concluded with one called The Soldiers. So after that, in 1914, he wrote the poem The Soldiers, where he refused an offer to be moved away from the front lines, an offer sent because his poetry was so well loved and good for recruiting, but died on April 23rd, 1940 of blood poisoning from an insect bite that weakened a body already ravaged by dysentery. So he got a position in the battlefield. Um, he got a place in the front line in the warfield, but later he got another offer that he got another offer because his poetry also spread the patriotic. So he got the second recruitment. He was placed in the different base. He was not in the front line. But later, he died in the April 23rd, 1915, because of an bite of insect. An insect bited him. Because of the blood poison, his body got weakened, and also he had the dysentery. Because of this illness, he was dead. So thank you guys. I hope you understand me. Thank you.